Hello everybody, Adam Monk here from FourFourTwo from London. Currently fighting for my life because yesterday I paid £8.70 for a meal deal. Also, I know Adam clearly likes to do these videos stood up and all, you know, bouncing around, but if that was to happen for me and I stood up, this would happen. So, yeah, can't really do much about that. But yeah, this video was going to be on the Forest-Liverpool game, but that game was boring. We know, me and Adam, through looking at the analytics, that you lot are less likely to watch a video on a draw. So we'll swerve that one. If you want a quick analysis of that game, Forest, pretty good team. Liverpool, pretty good team. Chris Wood, very good. That rhymed. But yeah, sorry, Liverpool fans, you've got Mo Salah to thank for that and the miss at the death cleared off the line. And with that said, I think it's time to talk about a new Egyptian king. Was that accidental 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗔? I don't really know. It sounded poetic. So as for Manchester City, why are they spending so much money in the January transfer window? Well, let's start by just looking at this quickly. Yeah, they objectively stink. This is the opposition cross success rate, 35% City at the bottom there. And also City just block the fewest shots in general when teams get into their penalty area. So they really can't defend. So to address that, they're bringing in 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔-𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘.
Who?
Now, I'll level with you. If I sat here and pretended to know anything about that bloke or even that he existed a week ago, that would be the biggest lie since this video.
We cannot replace him. We cannot.
From what I've seen of 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔, just to summarise him quickly, it would be GBH, just raw GBH, which, going back to this graph, City clearly need. So instead, I'm going to talk about City's brand spanking new attacker coming who can play centre forward and play off the left. And all he really has to do to impress in the second half of this season is score, I'd say, 2 goals. Because if you look around 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏, let's look at Jack Grealish, for example. Well, he scored 1 goal in the last calendar year. And to put that into context, that's 1 goal since the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow was a thing, which seems like a bygone era. So Erling Haaland really does need some help. And don't get me wrong, he currently is doing very well. He scored 1 and assisted 2 last night in Frankfurt's win against Freiburg, which takes his tally to 20 goals and 14 assists in 26 games this season. That's 34 GA in 26 games to make it sound a little bit better. This guy is phenomenal. And just to double down on that, I mean, if you contextualise the game last night that Omar Marmoush played for Eintracht Frankfurt, he knows he's joining Manchester City. That could be weighing on his mind. But no, 1 goal, 2 assists, 76 touches, 30 accurate passes, 88% pass accuracy, 11 ground duels won, which was the most in the game of any player, 8 touches in the opposition box, 6 recoveries. He was fouled 5 times, which was the most of any player on the pitch, 5 successful dribbles, again, the most of any player on the pitch, and 4 chances created. So in short, he's good. Now, quickly touching on the here and now, this is how Eintracht Frankfurt like to set up and did do last night against Freiburg. We won't focus on every player, although I will just mention this guy, Mario Götze. Now, let me know this in the comments. I genuinely thought this. I don't know if this is some weird Mandela effect kind of situation. I thought Götze would retire from football about 2 years ago until I then looked at the lineup last night and saw him starting in the middle. I knew he used to play for Frankfurt, but in my mind, that was like 2 seasons ago, and he's hung his boots up early. I don't know who I've got him confused with, but genuinely, this took me off guard. Götze plays for Eintracht Frankfurt, but most importantly, so does Omar Marmoush in the 2 up top with Hugo Ekitike, if I've said that right. And it's a bit of a little and large partnership, akin to maybe what we might see between Marmoush and Erling Haaland. And just to overlay Ekitike's heat map as well this season, here you can see he's very all-action, involved on the left-hand side, involved on the right-hand side, and involved centrally as well. So he's not really a number 9 per se that sticks to his position. He likes to get across the front 3, which is something Manchester City have been desperately lacking at the moment. And also since Alvarez left. So let's talk about that. This is City's average lineup last season, and often Julian Alvarez used to kind of, on paper, start in midfield, but he'd drift into sort of that second striker area alongside Erling Haaland. And often City in possession would end up shaping up like this, a 4-4-2 with Rodri, rest in peace, and 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔-𝗧𝗜𝗍 or Bernardo Silva joining him in the pivot. And it'd sometimes look like this, and then out of possession, it'd sometimes revert to more of a 4-3-3, with Alvarez being able to defensively contribute. Now, if you overlay Alvarez's heat map for Manchester City last season, you can see here it does look very similar to Omar Marmoush. Is involved on the left, involved on the right, but involved centrally as well. Likes to get across the entire front three. And if you think about City's current attackers, we know what Erling Haaland likes to do. His heat map is just a little blob. And then you've got Savinho, who likes to hug one side of the pitch, Doku, who likes to hug the other. Depending on what side they play, they can both do it on the right and the left-hand side, but they stick to that side. And then you've got Phil Foden, who is more of a midfielder, really. He's less of a forward. I know he can sort of get involved in the goals, but City have been lacking in an all-action forward who gets involved in every area of the pitch, and I think Marmoush gives them that back. Funnily enough as well, I think Pep's already tried to address this in the summer transfer window after Alvarez left by bringing Gundogan in on a free, but it's massively backfired. I think Pep's thinking was that when Haaland's injured, Gundogan can play false nine as Haaland's backup, much like he did so successfully 3-4 years ago. But that was 3-4 years ago. The man is now 34 years old. He probably spoke to the board in the summer, Ilkay Gundogan, and Cheeky probably said to him, you're going to play 30 games this season. And then when the entire squad dropped like flies, he just ended up standing in the centre circle like Tom Hanks on Omaha Beach in Saving Private Ryan, just completely shell-shocked. So yeah, Marmoush is set to come in. These are his average positions here. You can see mostly he likes to play centre forward, the striker role, but can also play on the left-hand side, so it gives City that much-needed versatility. There you go, video done. See you soon, guys. No, but seriously, it's good that you can play left wing for City because it allows Pep to rotate Doku and Savinho much more. We know right now Jack Grealish isn't getting a look in. And as for 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔, well, as for Pep Guardiola, as we know, any child that is birthed through the academy must be banished into the shadow realm. So what else does he improve then for City? What's empirical? What can we numerically define that he will make Manchester City better at? Well, a very simple one is free kicks. He actually scored 2 consecutive free kicks in 2 consecutive matches on November the 2nd against VfL Bochum and November the 7th against Slavia Prague in the Europa League. And Manchester City's last direct free kick goal was in April last year, and it was a deflected goal by Phil Foden against Aston Villa. It wasn't even a proper free kick, really. So, of course, he improves Manchester City in that area, but where's the nuance, Adam? Well, I'll tell you. Let's compare him statistically to Erling Haaland. In terms of attacking numbers, Marmoush and Erling Haaland are actually very, very similar. Haaland scored 16 goals this season to Marmoush's 15. This is, of course, in the Bundesliga and the Premier League. Marmoush, rather impressively, though, massively outperforming his XG as opposed to Erling Haaland. Goals per game and shots per game are very, very similar. Haaland missing more big chances, though, from a closer range. And also, they have the exact same goal conversion rate at 19% this season. But this is what's most important now. If you consider the fact that Marmoush is a striker by trade, leads the line often for Frankfurt alongside someone else, look at the creative stats as opposed to Erling Haaland's. It's just a chasm, 9-1 up on assists. You know, 11 big chances created to 2, but most importantly as well, his average touches per 90, Erling Haaland 23, Marmoush 47.8. So clearly he likes to just get on the ball more and be more all action and potentially be that link man from midfield to attack. One of the main criticisms of Erling Haaland, and I'm not sure whether it's justified or not, I think it might be more dependent on the lack of service he's had, is that when he doesn't have service and he's not involved in the game, he's just completely useless and impotent. Take this for example here. This is the fewest touches he's ever had in a Premier League game for City, and it was against Arsenal last season at the Etihad Stadium. And this has been happening for a while. I mean, that's his fewest there with 7, but he only averages 23 touches a game this season. I think Haaland now needs that middleman again, like he used to have in the treble-winning season for City that was Kevin De Bruyne back in the day. He needs that man to link midfield, to attack, and play Haaland in a little bit more. I'm sorry, just play him in. Like, we've seen this so many times for Borussia Dortmund. I know it's a more expansive league, but Haaland was a bit of a road runner. He'd have balls slid in behind to him, and now he likes to sort of just linger at the back post. But he does need that middleman. Take this goal, for example, back when he had one. This was against Arsenal the season prior to the game where he had 7 touches. This opening goal that De Bruyne scored early on, a long ball to Haaland, headed down, and you've got that player there in the pocket who can drive with the ball. De Bruyne can no longer do this because his legs have simply gone. Marmoush can because he's nearly 10 years younger. Now, just to look at City's lineup from that Arsenal game back in 2023. On paper, it'd look like a 4-3-3, but as we know, John Stones would invert. Rodri had come here. Kyle Walker came across to form a back 3, and it looks something a little bit like this, but De Bruyne in that game really did play that second striker role and played off Erling Haaland, so he would come into these spaces and won the knockdown in this area of the pitch. But the goal itself is so explosive. It's individual brilliance by De Bruyne. And I know it's likely City are never going to get a De Bruyne again. That player simply doesn't exist and comes around once every generation. But De Bruyne's ability to carry the ball has waned since that season. He's 34 years old now. He physically can't do that. De Bruyne is averaging 2.6 progressive carries per 90 this season. Compare that to Omar Marmoush, whose is 3.96 per 90. He's carried the ball 67 times this season already. It's a massive upturn, and it's simply about having fresher legs and a younger squad. Pep has let this squad get too old. Now, how could this line up for Manchester City this season? Well, if we go with 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 in goal, then a back four of, let's go with Rico Lewis, Ruben Diaz, 𝗦𝗶𝗴Ｈ 𝗔𝗬𝗧𝗏, and for the sake of this, I'll go with 𝗦𝗶𝗴𝗏𝗏 for the sake of this, but of course it could be Guardiola. You never know what Pep's going to play, right? But Rico Lewis could invert. You could then form a back three here, using Akanji, Diaz and Ake. And then, yes, of course, Rodri right now doesn't exist. So you could go with Rico Lewis, Matteo Kovacic, Marmoush, and then maybe someone like Bernardo Silva, who's got a bit more bite in that midfield. And if you swap Marmoush for De Bruyne in that system right now, and of course, by the way, it's like Foden and Savinho out wide, Haaland up top, then it loses its legs massively. And that ability to sustain the ball high up the pitch, that death by 1,000 passes style of play that we know City like to play, they've not been able to do that as effectively this season, and they get picked off in transition way, way, way too much. And Marmoush could help keep the ball up there, carry it forward, and just sustain that pressure by adding fresher legs and a younger face. Pep really doesn't have an answer to Rodri's absence with the current players in his team at his disposal. So that's why I think he's signing a centre-back and a striker to sort of bridge that gap and revert back to a system like this that can sustain the ball higher up the pitch and concede less turnovers. And 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔, of course, is a very, very aggressive defender. If he was to play, at right or left centre-back, he's very aggressive in the 50-50, so he'd be able to snuff out any transitions that may or may not happen in this system. I just think it's a way that Pep can revert back to the ways of old without necessarily needing Rodri, if you know what I mean. And finally, to talk about his goal-scoring acumen, well, Erling Haaland gets criticised for being a one-dimensional striker or a goal hogger. I mean, people talk about Erling Haaland like he's playing a game of Wembley doubles at Power League. It is very, very disrespectful, but I guess they also do kind of have a point. In terms of the way he attacks crosses, this is something that really does frustrate me. If you cast your mind back to the days of Sergio Aguero, he used to score so many goals getting in front of the centre-back and scoring at the near post, nicking it in front of the centre-back and sliding it past the keeper or slamming it in the roof of the net like here against Liverpool. Now, what Erling Haaland likes to do, which is somewhat understandable because of how tall and lanky he is linger and hang at the back post. You look at this goal here against Sheffield United. This is an atypical example, but he likes to do this a lot. He very, very rarely varies the way he attacks crosses. Crosses now often for City are just chipped and dinked to the back post, and it's getting a little bit predictable. We need someone to come in and spice it up with a little bit of attacking variation. Now, you remember Marmoush's heat map from the start of the video. I think this is very, very key for Marmoush's understated ability to vary the way he attacks the penalty area. You take this goal here, for example. This is the first one I wanted to show you because it's him being patient and lingering off the left-hand side at the back post. He's not necessarily making a run, he's just knowing where the space is and waiting for his moment. This is an understated attribute for any attacker. His second goal here, though, is very Erling Haaland-esque in the sense that he attacks the 6-yard box on the break. It's a direct run, and it's a lovely chip over the keeper as well. That's his actual skill. His techers is very understated too. But yeah, this goal is very atypical of someone who finishes the moves off and leads the line, so to speak. So he's also got that in his locker too. Something else I think City have been missing for probably since the days of Riyad Mahrez is a goal like this one right here. The ability to manipulate the movement of a defender with quick feet and changing of direction. Phil Foden can do it a little bit. I think Savinho probably can too, but he's finding his feet. He's 5 years younger than Marmoush. Marmoush is ready-made now, 25, and he's been doing this on a consistent basis. He can dribble with the ball, which is something that I think Pep has tried to bring in the last couple of years, but maybe unsuccessfully. We know Doku's a very good 1v1 dribbler, but he just doesn't have the end product. But one last clip, the clip that I think trumps all in terms of what Manchester City need to get out of this guy, is this clip right here against none other than Bayern Munich as well. It is an offside goal, but the ball gets pinged into his feet, and it's his touch to get it out of his feet and create a goal-scoring chance. Number 36 here will absolutely pay for his sins, because Marmoush would have got on the end of this ball and of course would have been onside. But the way that one touch takes two defenders out the game and puts him through on goal from a position where it just didn't look possible a mere fraction of a second earlier is so important. Because to be honest, Erling Haaland, and it's not his fault because of how big he is, he can't get the ball out his feet, so you can't really play a direct pass. The ability to get that ball out of his feet so quickly and create a goal-scoring chance is just absolutely, it's gold dust. It's absolute gold dust at the top level. So yes, that's Omar Marmoush, Manchester City's new man. The Egyptian prince, I guess that's the respectful name for him until Salah leaves the league. And Salah's chasing a Ballon d'Or, but if you actually tell Omar Marmoush that there's a right side of the goal that he can score in, then maybe he'll win a Ballon d'Or too. Anyway, guys, yes, I hope you enjoyed the video and have a lovely rest of your week. But yes, guys, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you very, very soon. I've been Adam Monk. Take care. Goodbye.